You're listening to Two Girls, One Crossword.
They said it couldn't be done. They said we couldn't record within a week of our last recording, and yet
Here we are,
people.
Oh my god. Who said that? Give me their names,
People were
their phone
saying
numbers, their social securities. I need to know.
I heard it through the grapevine. People were talking mad shit about us, but we're here.
It's
Can't
the
get rid of
God-given
us.
right to talk mad shit about us. As
Right.
if I don't talk shit. I don't talk shit, but I like gossip. Let's just put it that way.
I love gossip for people that I don't know.
Yeah.
You know, like people that I kind of know, or it has that way. It does not affect me at all.
Right.
But like people who post a lot of their business on social media, keep doing it. I love you. I know
Please.
people are like, don't post it. No, post everything because I am reading it. I'm keeping up. There's like certain people that I just keep up with.
Yeah, of course. Even like celebs too. Like, are you following the Ariana Grande?
Yes.
Shocking.
Such theater kid
Oh,
drama of it. That the fact that those two are. But the thing is,
Of
he's
course.
not even Fierro. Like, he's not the lead in the musical at all.
I
you
know. I don't know.
Bach he only really sings in has like one solo part. I don't know. Well, don't come for me because I think that he only does in Dancing Through Life. He could have other songs that I skip off him, but
Yeah.
I mean, he is a main character, but not
Yeah.
the main like leading man.
Well,
So, anyways,
he played
Interesting.
SpongeBob. I think that's the most important thing. The
Right, and then I
clips of
feel
people
bad.
of him playing SpongeBob people are using, I am like, I can't.
I saw SpongeBob on Broadway. I don't
Did
know
you
if
see
he
him?
was.
Oh.
I don't remember, but or I don't know, but it was good. I liked the SpongeBob
Yeah, it
musical.
looks
It's
good.
actually really good, but yeah, people are showing clips, and it's like, yes, it is like geared towards kids, but I still enjoyed it. But yeah, the videos are not flattering.
to
and-
move us away from drama about Ariana Grande, but to stay on the theater front,
Uh-huh.
Michael is in London for his brother's graduation, and he saw Les Mis on West End with his family, and he's like, we cried through the whole thing. I'm like, of course you did. Of course. How could you not cry through the whole thing?
Beautiful.
I was like, oh, to see Les Mis on West End would be a treat beyond compare.
Well, one day. What are we
Yeah,
talking
until
about
then.
yet? Oh, yeah. Our podcast. This is not a musical podcast. It's a podcast about trivia. Sometimes musical trivia, though.
Sometimes.
I do like to pick musical topics. Anyways, we are Two Girls, One Crossword. I'm Grace Topinka.
I'm Chelsea Rowan. This is your favorite weekly Podword Crosscast. We're back. We're back.
Back. Some people say I never left. I have a corrections corner for last episode. I was talking about, I couldn't remember, not a corrections corner, more like an additional. I couldn't remember the movie where that guy is like stranded in the middle of nowhere. His only form of transportation to get back to like the main character is a penny
Farthing.
farthing.
Penny farthing.
It's Princess Diaries too.
Oh.
And it's Chris Pine.
Oh.
The mom's like, just take your grandfather's bike. And he's like, Grandpa doesn't have a bike. And she like points to the bike that's decoration.
That's amazing. That's
And then
amazing.
He rides it and he finally sees the farmer and he's like, I'm going to need to borrow your car. And then the farmer's like, okay. And
Here's
he's
my
like, you can
penny
keep my
farthing."
bike. And the farmer's like, what am I supposed to do with this?
Oh, we should rewatch the Princess Diaries films.
Alex would love that. Yeah, didn't even watch, I've seen the first one a lot, but I feel like I only saw the second one once or twice, like as a kid. So you watched it the other night. It was good. I mean,
That's amazing.
Anne Hathaway.
It's Julie Andrews.
Julie Andrews.
Hello.
She's so good in it. I really believe she's a queen. Like, she
She's
just has
meant to
that
be.
air about her.
Are you kidding? Yeah, she has that just like je ne sais quoi, that thing.
And
little-
then the second one is when she sings that song with Raven Simone.
Right. Oh my God, I forgot about that.
Yeah.
Is that the second one is when she goes to, what is it,
Genovia.
Genovia? Yeah.
And it's like she's going to take over the throne, but they're like, we've never had a queen who isn't married.
Right.
So she has to get married.
Insane. I love it. It's
Yeah.
my exact kind of show. Or movie, rather. I also have a corrections corner, actually. It's not really a corrections corner so much as an apology to our listeners. If you listened last week before we updated the audio, on Tuesday. We released the episode, I believe, on Monday, but a listener kindly pointed out to us that there was a short segment in the middle of the episode where the audio is like overlapping. I think I accidentally moved one of the audio tracks while I was exporting. Anyway, it's so frustrating that I did this. I apologize if you listened to the episode and it was confusing or overlapping. The episode has been updated. It is no longer overlapping and weird. And thank you to Emma for pointing out my mistake.
I thought you were gonna say that we like left in a like conversation that wasn't supposed to be, because I mean, not that we ever talk about anything like inappropriate, but it would be kind of embarrassing, like just our normal
right, the stuff that we do in between when we take like those couple seconds like in between topics or whatever, like sometimes we just catch up about shit, you know?
Yeah.
So not to, you know, give the listeners a little
peek behind the curtain.
Yeah, but it's true. Anyway, 2 corrections corners. First correction corners in a long time.
Yeah.
It's good to have the corner back, though. It's good to be kept humble, I should say.
I'm surprised I don't have more corrections corners, to be honest.
Honestly,
Like,
please
all
write
I do
to
is
us.
make mistakes. Yeah.
It's cool. Should we get into our hits and shits? Oh, the poll.
Oh, yes. We did the poll. I remembered this week. Back in our old routine, y'all.
Yeah. We almost forgot to record about the poll, but it was run.
One thing at a time. Okay. We asked our Twitter followers, how do you use your bike? Options were sports cyclist, you know, like you do it for exercise, main transportation, leisurely for fun, or don't ride at all.
Ooh.
And you might be shocked to know that the highest option with 50% of the vote was don't ride at all.
Interesting. Okay.
Second, with 30% of the vote, was leisurely for fun. That's where the category I'm in.
Mm-hmm.
And then tied for third was sports cyclist and main transportation.
Okay.
But we do have some listeners who, you know, commute on their bike.
Okay.
I commend you. I couldn't do that.
I know. No, I'd be sweaty. I'm like sweaty just baseline. So I don't need to like add insult to injury. You know what I mean? Like.
And the worst part, my head is like the sweatiest part of my body. So it's one thing to like sweat on your body. It's like, oh, I just changed my clothes. It's like, it's literally coming out of my scalp. I'm like drenched. I have to take a full shower.
Yeah.
You know?
Or like you walk into the office and your hair's wet and people are like, oh, did you come to the office with wet hair? It's like from sweat, not from a shower.
Right. Well, my main issue, just biking in Chicago seems so terrifying to me on the roads. Like if I lived in a place that had normal bike lanes.
Yeah.
Or that had bike lanes everywhere and, you know, big bike lanes, not ones that are like.
Right.
Anyway, Chicago has issues, but.
It's true. And I think where we live, we have some pretty good bike lanes, but they're not that great. They're not consistent, but
they're not
for
consistent.
The city, like we are in an area that has like a ton of bike lanes, but they're really not consistent.
Yeah, so it's like one street has a bike lane and then it's like you're on your own for the next 2 blocks. But the issue too is that people often park in the bike lane. Like cars are often pulled over on the side of the road in the bike lane, and so then the bike lane has to go around and it's just a mess. And
yeah, I've seen certain neighborhoods, they're starting to put like concrete dividers so that you can't park in the bike lane or like pull over into the bike lane. And I feel like if we were like, I know people always say like, if we were like more Scandinavian countries, but in some regards we should be like for biking specifically, you know?
Right. Like Amsterdam. Biking is terrifying because there's so many bikes, but it's like, at least you know you're not going to get hit by a car.
Right.
You know?
Ooh, sorry if you're watching on YouTube. I am yawning. I was feeling great before we started, but I don't know. Something about the weather.
I should be the one yawning. I was up all night. Scared of a movie I haven't even watched yet.
This is our life.
Yeah.
Poor Grace.
Shall we get into our heights and shites?
Yes, we should. Can I start off?
Yes.
With a more general hit. I first want to give a big shout out to a longtime listener, Emma. Emma was actually the person who wrote to me to say the audio was all effed up. So thank you, Emma, for writing. But Emma has been listening for a while, writes to us on Instagram a lot. It's always lovely to hear from her. We recently learned that Emma has a crossword podcast of her own. And yeah, I wanted to give it a bit of love. So I'm just going to be reading some details about Emma's podcast. So The podcast is called Outside the Blocks, a puzzle podcast. It's hosted by Emma Oxford and Will Fadenhauer. Listeners, you can find it wherever you listen to podcasts, or you can go to outsidethebox.buzzsprout.com. We will also leave a link in our episode description if you're curious. They talk about meta crosswords, also called contest crosswords or contest style crosswords. We've done a couple meta crosswords, but I think Grace and I, like, the meta just goes over our head. We just solve it like a regular crossword, and then apparently there's like a meta-ness to it, and we're like, okay. But this is very exciting. If you are into these types of crosswords, apparently, hold on. So Will and Emma are both crossword constructors of like regular and meta crosswords, which is kind of cool. And they are also frequent crossword solvers. So if you are a crossword lover, these are two people that you'd probably like listening to talk about crosswords.
And I feel like they are way smarter than us in a crossword sense. At least there's different types of intelligence out there, people.
There is. Because even though we are a crossword podcast, we don't really talk that much about crosswords. Which is okay. Anyway, it's a good time to start listening to their podcast. They are currently in the middle of a series of weekly episodes talking to other meta crossword constructors about the Contest Crossword Combating Cancer Puzzle Pack, the CCCC Puzzle Pack. The Puzzle Pack is a pack of contest-style crosswords that Will spent a ton of time putting together. So if you're interested in this pack, head over to crosswordsforcancer.com. You make a donation to a cancer-related charity. You email your receipt to crosswordsforcancer@gmail.com, and you get sent the puzzle pack. So if you're a listener and you love meta crosswords, definitely check out and support a good cause. And among the constructors that are featured in this puzzle pack are some people some of our listeners might know that Grace and I might know. Paolo Pasco, for instance, and Evan Bernholz are featured. So if you're interested in that
like
puzzle pack, yeah, right, head over to crosswordsforcancer.com. And again, thanks, Emma, for reaching out about the audio and for being a longtime listener. And congratulations on your podcast. Very exciting.
We love to see it.
We literally love to see it. We love to hear from you. So, chat with us anytime.
We're always open. You need someone who's up at 2 a.m. scared of a movie they've never seen?
Just send us a quick DM.
Yeah. That's what's on my mind, people. I apologize.
True. Don't apologize. Just be true to yourself.
I have anxiety. Nighttime anxiety. I'm sorry.
Just let her live. Anyway, why don't you go into your first hit/shit of the day?
Sure. Let's do I did the Monday, July 24th puzzle by Elizabeth C. Gorski.
Is this New Yorker?
New Yorker, yeah.
Got it. No, you're good.
I'm working on like less pistons today. Okay. 14 across. It may be empty or existential.
Dread?
A threat.
Oh, nice.
35 across, in quotes. It's too ridiculous to discuss. The answer was, I can't.
I'm like trying to solve it in my head as we go.
3 down, husky vocalization.
A yowl.
Arf, arf.
Cute. The huskies are very vocal.
They are. I mean, huskies are beautiful. I could never have one after seeing videos of them. No. Like, they literally just scream.
Imagine having a husky in an apartment building.
No, forget about
kidding?
it. And the hair, too. I mean, they have like 8 coats of fur, it seems.
There is a woman that takes her huskies out on the corner and brushes them outside, which I think is smart, but she just flings the hair into the wild. And you walk down the street and you're like, oh, she brushed her huskies again today. I mean, it's good because like the birds will use the hair for the nests and stuff, but still.
Although I read somewhere that you're not supposed to do that because dog hair can have like flea medication in it.
Crazy.
You're not allowed to do anything these days.
You're not.
I don't mean that in like an offending people way. I mean that in like, FYI, not in that type of way. But just like, you think it's nice to give rice to ducks, and then you find out that you're killing them.
Yeah. Well, exactly. Yeah. We have too much access to information now that like we can't live in blissful ignorance is basically what we're saying. Neptune hates huskies. Like on walks, he could just give a shit less about most of the other dogs. But there are like a couple huskies in the neighborhood. If he sees those huskies, the hackles are up and he is standing there and he will go crazy. And I'm like, if I see the husky, I'm like, Matt, the husky's coming. We got to get out of here. Seriously. There's something about, whether it's the huskies in the neighborhood or just huskies in general, he is prejudiced against huskies. He's
probably freaked out about their icy blue eyes. I'm the same way about people. It's like, you ever meet someone with eyes that blue and they're just...
And when they also just like keep their eyes...
Right. It's like, we
really
get it.
open.
You have beautiful eyes.
Yeah. It's just like, relax your eye muscles. Relax them. It's fine. Oh, good morning, folks.
I asked, this is my last one that I liked. 2 down, cousin of a beignet. And it was a churro.
Ooh.
Whoa, churro. Sorry, guys.
She's not fire at all.
Yeah, I'm really not. My brain's like, chugga. But anyways, just remind me how good fried dough is.
Oh, yeah.
Fried dough and sugar.
Any sort of dough, really. I'm a bread girl.
Right.
I'm a bread girly. Dough. Is that all you had from that puzzle?
Yes.
I'm going to stay with the New Yorker. I'm going to do the Friday, July 21st New Yorker by Adam Aronson and Billy Bratton. Amazing to have 2 alliterative names, the A and then the B. Amazing. I was very excited.
They need like a Carl Cortez on their team or something.
Exactly.
You know?
The ABC team. Amazing. You should write to them. Anyway, okay, so 21 across. Low quality in slang. It was so funny to me. Ass.
That is true.
Yes. 30 across. Light up a joint. First thing, say.
Wake and bake.
Wake and bake, which is actually one of the answers related to this puzzle's theme, which the theme was like words that kind of have the AKE ending, like rhyme, like bake rhymes with other words. Anyway, but I'm not talking about the theme. 41 across. Paul Blank, Mall Cop, 2009 film.
It should be Paul Bop Mall Cop, but it's Paul Blart.
I know. But it was really fun to see Blart in a New Yorker crossword.
Right.
This is interesting. 61 across. Also part of the theme, but restaurant that once offered a 7-patty burger for $7.77. Steak and Shake.
Ugh. Seems like something Steak and Shake would do. Sorry.
Have you had Steak and Shake?
I had it once on a road trip when I was younger. And then it gave me like food poisoning. So I had to pull over
I know this story. I know the story. I didn't realize it was Steak and Shake, or I would not have brought it up.
Yeah, it's just sensitive topic for me. But I'm sure Steak and Shake is good. I just have one bad, horrible experience.
Bad experience. That's enough to taint your experience with them for life. But that's okay.
The second you're like dropping trow on the side of the road, yeah, that's a wrap on Steak and Shake for me. Just for me. Other people feel free.
She's done. 36 down. Quote, LMAO equivalent that might be replaced by skull emoji.
I'm dead.
I'm dead. Isn't that hilarious?
Cute.
That's what I have from that puzzle. What else do you got, kid?
I did the Wednesday, July 26th New Yorker by Eric Agard, friend of the podcast.
This is one of my puzzles as well, but you go.
15 across. City whose NBA team sells Vice Knights jerseys. The Miami Heat.
Duh.
I love the Vice Knight jersey.
You should send a picture of it to me.
Yeah, it's like white and purple and turquoise. It's very cool. You've probably seen it at like a music festival. You know how that's like the like man uniform at a music festival is a jersey.
Yeah.
25 down, Sister City. At first I was like, oh, a Sister City, but then I was like, no, it's Sister like the show. Yeah. And it's Detroit. And I just remembered how I watched Sister like 3 times during COVID.
I had this on my list because it made me think of you. The Sister clue made me think of you.
Right. That's actually all the ones I have from that one.
Okay, cool. I liked 18 across, rave review for a gift. It's perfect. To hear it's perfect is perfect, I'll tell you what. I also liked 26 across. It's quote, how much time do you have? End quote. And the answer is, where to begin? If someone says, how much time do you have? You know.
I'm like, I got all the time in the world for you, baby.
It's about to get good.
Right.
52 across, quote, this is shocking news. End quote. The answer is, I had no idea. And then 38 down, quote, big whoop. And the answer was, who cares? Just some really good quote clues this time. I like big whoop.
Yeah.
I feel like I used to say it as a kid.
Yeah.
And it was like,
big whoop. If
big
someone said,
whoop.
who cares to me?
Yeah.
Devastating.
Truly. Actually. Yeah. I'd be like, gotta go ruminate on that in my room.
Yeah.
That's what I have from that puzzle. What else you got?
I did the Thursday, July 27th New Yorker by Paolo Pasco. A great week.
Thank God. I was like, I did the Thursday, July 27th New York Times. So I was like, did we both just have the same puzzles all the way down? Go ahead.
Okay, start off strong with one across. Quote, is he hitting your blank or your breaking point? Reductress headline. And the answer was G-spot.
I love it. That's the opener. I cannot.
Yeah. 54 across, resting formally. In repose.
In repose. Oh my God.
I'm going to use that.
Me on my couch for most of my life. That's okay.
6 down, play ending utterances for BDSM practitioners. Safe word.
Oh, yes, clearly it would be a safe word.
32 down, shout out to a former topic of mine, General Hospital or Days of Our Lives, e.g. And the answer is soap opera.
Love it.
But then, like, kind of, what's it called? Like, mirrored on the other side of that was 34 down, Jeopardy or Mastermind, e.g. And the answer was quiz show.
Fun.
So I liked those two together.
Yeah. Oh, we should actually start applying to be on, like, game shows.
Right. There's only certain ones that I feel like, yeah. I feel like we would be good at Wheel of Fortune.
I feel like we would too. There's some that I think like we should just apply to be on as a team and see what happens.
I'm down.
I mean, what could go wrong? We get a couple interviews, we get on one, we win $5,000. Are you kidding me? Yeah, I'll take it.
Yeah, but $5,000 is like nothing on a game show.
I know, but
I'll pay taxes on it.
It's true. I'll do anything for $1. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like,
it's really like just that we get to be on TV.
That's it. And then also like
fun fact. Then you have a fun fact in your pocket forever.
Exactly. And whatever after taxes, what is it going to be, like $500 each or something? That's a one-way ticket to Timbuktu. Fuck, I don't know.
Right.
Like I said, anything for $1. We will reconvene on the game show thing, but
if you're listening and you know a game show that you think we would be good at, suggest it to us.
Yes.
Like, basically one that doesn't take too much skill, but collaboration.
Yeah, like I don't think we could do Amazing Race. Like, I think we would be a great pair on Amazing Race, but I don't think I'm ready physically to commit to something like kind of Amazing Race.
Right. I need like a Wheel of Fortune type situation.
Yeah, exactly. Or like that show where like we try to get each other to guess the word that the other person has in front of him, you know?
They still have that show? Is that Password?
I watched this in like a weird hotel in Portland, Maine, so
oh, then yeah, we should do that. Okay, that we would be good at. Like any type of taboo where we have to get each other to guess. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. So any other suggestions are more than welcome in our DMs. Thank you, listeners. Okay, the July 27th New York Times by Guillermo Giglioli. Great name, another alliterative name today. I liked the theme. The theme was kind of like addition. So there'd be 3 clued answers across. So like 3 separate answers across. But the first 2, if you added them together, gave you the answer to the third. So for example, 17 across, for the ages. And the answer was epic. And then 18 across, submit was enter. And then 19 across was 17 across plus 18 across equals 19 across. And the answer was core. So epicenter equals core. Cool. So then we have 32 across, garnish for a shrimp taco. And the answer was lime. 33 across, Morty's cartoon pal, Rick. And then 32 plus 33 equals 35 across, which is verse. Limerick is a verse. Right?
That's nice. I like that.
I liked it too. 40 across, locale for the hustle and the funky chicken. And the answer is disco. I believe those are dances. And then 42 across, not just a little. The answer was very. So if you plus disco and very, the answer you get is discovery, which equals find, which is the answer for 43 across. So that was fun. And also, I learned something new. I'm just going to share an interesting idiom. Grace used to, or not used to, but Grace did a topic years ago at this point on idioms. One across, word with dirty or car. And the answer was pool. So dirty pool or dirty car. Or, no, sorry, dirty pool or carpool. Sorry. Struggling. I'm also chugging along here. So I'm like, what? I know what carpool is, but what is dirty pool? You know, like, are they talking about like a physically dirty swimming place? Or are they talking about dirty pool like billiards?
Billiards.
So dirty pool, when I looked it up, the Google definition was dishonest, unfair, or unsportsmanlike conduct. And then I was like, where does this come from? So I'm just going to read from some random website that I found online. So take this information with a grain of salt, but I just thought I'd share. The origin of the idiom dirty pool is somewhat in question, with some attributing it to Herman Wouk's novel, The Cane Mutiny, published in 1951. Quote, I played pretty dirty pool, you know, in court, end quote. However, the idiom has been found in documents dating back as far as 1918 and may go back a bit further. So basically, it's related to unsportsmanlike conduct, but you can use it to mean just unfair conduct in other elements of your life. You don't just have to play dirty pool in sports, is what I'm trying to say.
Right. Okay. Keep that in my back pocket.
Just keep that in your back pocket. That's all I have today.
Shall we flip the coin?
Yes, we should. Forgot to pull the coin up, so let me
Oh
pull up
my
my digital
God.
coin.
You could just pretend that you're flipping one. I'd be none the wiser.
You would be none the wiser. But that's too much pressure for me.
Right.
It's loading. It's digital, so give me a second here. Loading. Okay. It's finished loading. So I'm going to flip the coin
Flipper.
now. Tails.
Me? Little me?
Little old you.
My topic comes from the July 27th New Yorker by Paolo Pasco. 12 down. Play blank. Inaugural National Toy Hall of Fame inductee. Play-Doh.
Play-Doh. Yes. We've done a couple toy topics on this podcast, ladies and
We've done
germs.
Slinky. We've done Barbie.
Yeah.
Of course, now Barbie's everywhere.
Hacky sack.
Hacky
Pogs.
sack. Yeah.
Raggedy
Working.
Ann.
Raggedy Ann's not a toy. She's a spirit.
True.
Not to be messed with. I got most of my information from an article on Business Insider called The Shocking Story Behind Play-Doh's Original Purpose by David Hiskey.
Oh.
I have to just jump in and say, I don't know how shocking it is, to be honest, but it is kind of interesting and a little piece of trivia you could have in your back pocket.
Okay. I love
It's
the
not already
clickbait
full.
titles we find sometimes.
Right.
The
You'll
horror
never
behind
believe.
Slinky. Yeah, and you're like, huh?
Okay, so it all started in Cincinnati, Ohio in the
Okay.
1920s. Coutal was a Cincinnati-based soap company, and they were about to go under. So Cleo McVicker, I couldn't understand like if he owned the company or if he was just a salesperson there, but he was 21 years old. He worked at Coutal, and he was tasked with selling off the company's remaining assets, which at that point was powdered hand soap, so that they could close down the company and just, make as much money as they could, hopefully get themselves out of the
Powdered
red and move on.
Hand soap. Okay.
Yeah, back in the day, you would buy powder and then you could like mix it, I think, with water and it turns into soap.
All right.
But Cleo, who is a man, by the way, Cleo was a great salesman, and he managed to actually turn a profit, saving the company, stopping it from shutting down. And then Cleo hired his brother Noah, and they set out to kind of make this company, a real company again.
Okay.
So in 1933, Cleo was meeting with reps from the Kroger grocery store, which you may know if you live in the Midwest.
Yep.
And I actually don't know. Maybe Kroger could be other places too. It's definitely not in Florida though.
It's definitely not in Jersey.
Well, it's not
Well, maybe
in
it's
Miami, I should say.
not where I grew up. Yeah, I don't want to dig myself a hole here, but
He'll be like, I go to a Kroger in Florida every week.
yeah, right?
Okay, so he was meeting with reps from the Kroger grocery store because, he sold them soaps, but they asked him if his company made a wallpaper cleaner. So people needed wallpaper cleaners because a lot of homes had wallpaper, of course, at the time, and those homes were heated by coal because coal was more efficient and cheaper than wood.
Right.
But coal also leaves a layer of soot everywhere.
Right.
And that soot was hard to clean off of wallpaper because wallpaper at that time, you could not get it wet. That was before vinyl wallpaper.
Right.
So this is like an issue that people have then.
Yeah.
They're like, my walls are covered in soot, but I can't clean them. So what do I do?
Right. Which I think is similar to like people there are probably people who smoked too, So
Right.
like, yeah. I can't even imagine how dirty those damn walls were back in the day.
Exactly. Well, Cleo kind of impulsively told Kroger, like, oh yeah, we make wallpaper cleaner. And so Kroger ordered 15,000 cases of wallpaper cleaner from Kutal, and if they didn't deliver it to the grocery store, they would owe a $5,000 penalty, which today would be like $90,000. So Kutal didn't have $90,000 to pay this penalty. They had to figure out how to make wallpaper cleaner and deliver it. But luckily for the brothers, Noah McVicker, the brother, he was able to figure out how to make a wallpaper cleaner using a version of a then common formula for it. So wallpaper cleaner, imagine like a Play-Doh type consistency. It was, a solid material that was like slightly sticky, but not too sticky, but it could pick up dirt. The same things that people have to clean their cars, like the goo.
Yeah.
So that's what it was. He created a version that already existed. They didn't invent that, but he created kind of a new version of it. And for the next decade, business was booming for Kutal because they sold this wallpaper cleaner.
Damn.
But then
I want to I hope these brothers actually had like stock in the company, because imagine doing all of this as just like a general run of the mill like pencil pusher. Like,
right. I couldn't. In some places, they did say they were the owners, but I don't know if maybe they eventually did become the owners. They were definitely running the company. But
yes, I hope they got something out of this, because they're putting in a hell of a lot of work to not own that damn company. I'll tell you what.
Right. Well, after World War II, sales started dwindling down because coal was being replaced by oil and gas furnaces. These furnaces didn't produce the same kind of soot issue that coal did, so people weren't like regularly cleaning their wallpaper anymore. So it was another chore you could take off your list.
Thank God.
But to add insult to injury, vinyl wallpaper emerged on the market around that time too. So not only did people not really need to clean their wallpaper, but if they did, they could use soap and water on their vinyl wallpaper. So the McVicker brothers product was now virtually obsolete, but it had a nice 10-year run. Okay, in an extremely sad turn of events, Cleo McVicker died in a plane crash in 1949.
Oh my God.
Right. His son, Joe McVicker, was hired to replace him. And Joe is a big player in the Play-Doh thing. So, this is like a weird aside. When Joe was hired to replace his dad, he found out he had a rare form of cancer at the age of 25, and he was not expected to survive. But then he underwent, like, experimental radiation treatment. He survived for another 40 years. And one thing that I read online said that he also died in a plane crash. I don't know if that's true. I only found
this is shocking. The shocking story of Play-Doh.
Said it, and then I kept trying to find it other places, like to confirm, and I don't know. It wasn't anywhere. Sometimes, I guess people don't care enough about him. But anyways, the point is that Play-Doh may not have happened. Well, it would have happened because it was really someone else. Hint, hint, a woman that invented it. But, if he didn't do this experimental radiation treatment. So,
right. Okay.
Anyways, back to, when he first took over. Joe had a sister-in-law named Kay Zufall. And in 1954, Kay was running a nursery school, and she needed cheap materials to have her kids make Christmas decorations. So in the process of searching for cheap decorations, she read an article in a magazine that said you could use wallpaper cleaner to make ornaments and stuff, like as little,
cute
dough, essentially.
Yeah.
So Kay knew that her brother-in-law had this, wallpaper cleaning company that was going under. So she went out and she bought a bunch of Kutal's now obsolete wallpaper cleaner to try and use it with her class. And not only did it work for decor and crafting, but the kids had a blast playing with it. So it was Kay who called Joe and told him, like, hey, you need to make this wallpaper cleaner into a toy because the kids love it.
Amazing.
Joe
Women.
went over. Right. Joe took a look at the Christmas ornaments that were made by the kids, and he was like, oh, yeah, this is something. So all they did was they removed the detergent from the dough, and they added an almond scent and some coloring. So it was originally white, but when it first came out, they made red, blue, and yellow versions. And by the way, Play-Doh now has more than 50 colors you can get, which is wild. But yeah, so Joe went and created this. It's shocking to me since there was magazine articles saying like, oh yeah, use wallpaper cleaner as a children's toy, but like no other company had
thought
was
to
like, oh,
do
we
this.
should sell it for that purpose.
Well, probably because it was in craft magazines that women were buying rather than, you know? I don't know.
Yeah, I'm sure. Well, okay, Joe wanted to call this new product Catal's Rainbow Modeling Compound. But Kay was like, no, that is a horrible name for a kid's toy. And it was Kay who came up with the name Play-Doh.
Women.
Right.
Women are amazing.
So the Catal company already had some connections to different school board members because, you know, they used to sell soap. So they would sell soap to the school. But they were able to sell Play-Doh to school throughout Cincinnati. And they tried to put it in stores and market it locally, but they weren't getting very many bites. So the company was out of the red now, thanks to the Play-Doh, but they didn't have enough money to pay for like a huge marketing campaign. But Joe McVicker managed to talk his way into a meeting with Bob Keeshan, better known as Captain Kangaroo. So Captain Kangaroo was a children's show that aired weekday mornings on CBS for 29 years from 1955 to 1984. We may have some listeners who even watched Captain Kangaroo.
Right.
But Joe showed Captain Kangaroo the Play-Doh and like explained to him that Catal doesn't have money for any big advertising campaigns, or have even money to pay to put Play-Doh on the show. But if Captain Kangaroo would agree to use the product once a week on the show, they'd give Captain Kangaroo production company 2% of the sales generated. So long as they continue to show it. So the show agreed, and Play-Doh quickly became a national hit, even appearing in other children's shows thanks to the Captain Kangaroo exposure.
They must have made bank.
Right. Even though they still sold wallpaper cleaner for 34 cents a can, they sold Play-Doh for $1.50.
Yeah.
Despite the fact that the cans contained the same amount of compound and the two products were virtually identical, except that the Play-Doh didn't have the detergent. But that, like, if this existed now, that would definitely be a hack. Like, hack, just buy wallpaper cleaner and put food coloring in it.
Right, exactly.
After much experimentation by Joe, he decided to sell his product in cardboard cans with metal bottoms to keep the Play-Doh from drying out. The cans allowed Play-Doh to be mass-produced, stored, and shipped to various stores while keeping its texture. But in the 1980s, it was changed to the plastic tubs because
the yellow,
the metal tubs started to rust. So yes, that's the tubs we know. And that gave the product an even longer shelf life, and therefore, you know, expanded the business even more. And
my parents were so anti-Play-Doh.
Why?
Yours?
No.
I feel like because it was like, I always got the from my parents' vibe that it was like messy, but maybe not.
I think that it can be messy if you are using it on like if you have like a lot of carpet in your house.
We do,
or like we did. You know, upholstery. Well, it's so crazy how your brain really needs sleep. It's like my things aren't, you know, my synapses aren't connecting in there.
Yeah.
Kids could like push it into stuff, but
yeah,
on other stuff it's pretty clean. I mean, I play with it with my niece and nephew, and it's
my parents might have just been
right.
You know, no, just I didn't play
between that and the kinetic sand
or sticky putty. Remember sticky putty?
Sticky putty, I think, was a bigger issue.
I love sticky putty.
That's what would really stick to things. Like if you got sticky putty in a blanket, forget about it. But Play-Doh would come out.
It. I know.
You know.
I know. Yeah.
So I don't know. Maybe your parents just didn't want to buy you Play-Doh. Sorry.
It's okay.
The truth comes out. Between 1955 and 2005, more than 2 billion cans of Play-Doh were sold worldwide. In 2003, the Toy Industry Association selected Play-Doh to be part of its Century of Toys list, and it's also part of the Toy Hall of Fame, along with some other topics that we've done, like Barbie, Lego, Slinky, Candyland, and Monopoly, to name a few.
Just a few.
Some fun facts. Play-Doh cans are made with a tapered edge to easily stack and store empty cans to reuse again. Some research studies have shown that Play-Doh can be used to fake fingerprints for biometric scanners. This was like
Ooh.
a big research study where people, used like dental mold to create a mold of a fingerprint and then used Play-Doh to fill the mold. But apparently now things are more advanced. They can tell that that's like not a real person. But its ability to, kind of get fingerprints brought down a shoplifter who tried to use Play-Doh to override an anti-theft device in a store. It seemed like it was like a Best Buy. You know how they have like little tags on stuff?
Mm-hmm.
Well, he went in there and was like trying to do something with the Play-Doh, but it ended up not working. So he just left the Play-Doh behind and left the store. But then they were able to find a fingerprint on the Play-Doh and he was arrested for trying to shoplift. Not that I think people should be going to like prison. I don't know what happened to him, but
right.
anyways,
Well, I mean, they shouldn't be going to the like to arrest a failed shoplift. Like I don't know, arrest people.
Apparently, he was like a known shoplifter in the area. But
look at us trying to defend this poor shoplifter.
Right.
Well, not defend, but whatever.
Okay. And what about that Play-Doh smell? Well, if you've ever made Play-Doh at home, you know that it's just water, flour, and salt.
Yeah.
But Play-Doh won't reveal all of that's inside their little cans. The website says, quote, the exact ingredients of Play-Doh Classic Compound are proprietary, so we cannot share them with you. So there is a secret ingredient. Hasbro, which acquired Play-Doh's parent company in 1991, has a trademark protection for that smell.
Interesting. Because it's definitely not that almond. You said that they took out the detergent, replaced it with an almond smell. I don't get like the amaretto almond smell from Play-Doh, so I'm curious if it has changed. Do you know?
Right. Well, this is in their trademark protection. Play-Doh has, quote, a unique scent formed through the combination of a sweet, slightly musky, vanilla-like fragrance with slight overtones of cherry and the natural smell of salted wheat-based dough. So, that mysterious scent might be a hint of cherry. Is maybe
interesting.
But for all you Play-Doh smell aficionados, the Demeter Fragrance Library celebrated Play-Doh's 50th anniversary in 2006 with a limited edition Play-Doh perfume.
Oh my god. That's crazy.
Promising that fresh out of the can smell.
Exactly what I'm looking to wear on my hot date. Oh
and
my
that's
god.
on that. So if you love Play-Doh smell,
wow.
you can smell like it.
Wow. If you want to smell like Play-Doh, or you have smelled like Play-Doh, or you bought this scent, let us know. I'm curious.
I know. Imagine like wearing that to anything, and then someone's like, "Oh, what are you wearing?" You're like, "It's Play-Doh."
I feel like scent things, like whether it's perfume or candles, I've seen so many random scented things before. Like people can go crazy with those kinds of things. Oh,
yeah. But it's crazy how.
Apologies if you hear my dog barking in the background.
Maybe he saw a husky out the window.
God help me. He would try to bust through the glass if he did.
Right.
Good topic, Grace. Very good.
Makes me want to play with Play-Doh.
One for our toy list. Very good. We should play with Play-Doh.
This is the annoying thing with kids. Is like, I don't keep the Play-Doh cup color separate, you know?
Yeah.
Like, because they make a bunch of cute Play-Doh kits, like, you buy, I don't know, but it's like, usually in the kinetic sand, too. They just combine everything, and it's like...
Right. You're going to lose your purple,
respect?
you're going to lose the green.
Right, then it all becomes, like, a brown color.
Yeah.
Anyways, that's my issue with toddlers. One of my many, but...
She's got a list. But that's at the top of the list.
To play with, especially the things where you, like, feed, like... I
feel
like there's been times where my sister and I are, like, playing with the... the thing, and my niece is like off doing something else, but we like feed it through and it makes it into spaghetti.
Right. I love that. There's a TikTok that you could watch like a young kid just putting Play-Doh through random contraptions, and it's like, it gets like 1.2 million likes. You're like, what the hell is going on here? I mean, I like watching them, but anyway, good topic. My topic comes from the Friday, July 21st, New Yorker by Adam Aronson and Billy Bratton, 53 down, quote, keep blank and carry on, end quote. And the answer is calm, keep calm and carry on. Are you familiar with this phrase?
Yes, I was on Tumblr in middle school.
Of course she was. Of course she was. I'm going to start us off with a quote. To get some sense of what a monster it has become, try counting the number of times in a week you see some permutation of the Keep Calm and Carry On poster. In the last few days, I've seen it twice as a poster advertising a pub's New Year's Eve party, several times in souvenir shops, in a photograph accompanying a Guardian article on the imminent doctor strike, Keep Calm and Save the NHS, and as the subject of too many internet memes to count. Some were related to the floods, a flagrantly opportunistic Liberal Democrat poster with Keep Calm and Survive Floods, and the somewhat more mordant Keep Calm and Make a Photo of Floods. Around 8 years after it started to appear, it became quite possibly the most successful meme in history, and unlike most memes, it has been astonishingly enduring, a canvas onto which practically anything can be projected while retaining a sense of ironic reassurance. It is the ruling emblem of an era that is increasingly defined by austerity nostalgia, end quote. So that comes from an article by Owen Hatherley in The Guardian from 2016, so it's a bit older, but it's called Keep Calm and Carry On, the sinister message behind the slogan that seduced the nation. So we're going to be talking about Keep Calm and Carry On today, which, like this quote suggested, is an incredibly popular phrase.
Incredibly
slogan,
seductive phrase.
Seductive, but like the title of this article suggests, there is a sinister message behind it. Or is there?
Is it actually, or is it just...
Well, we'll
is
get
it
there.
Similar to the shocking original use of...
It depends on your definition of sinister. So, yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, Keep Calm and Carry On. It is one of the most recognizable slogans in British history, and it reinforces a popular view of life during the Second World War in England, and has been, quote, memorialized on everything from t-shirts to ties to champagne flutes to phone cases. That's from the Guardian article. So like, you can literally see this quote on everything, whether it's your coworker's desktop background, a phone case, or you're in a souvenir shop in, I don't know, Heathrow, and you want to buy a champagne flute to take home. Interestingly enough, Keep Calm and Carry On is only one of 3 key messages created by Britain's wartime propaganda department, the Ministry of Information, at some point between June 27th and July 6, 1939.
Sorry, I just love how the UK calls things ministries.
I know. It's like, I know that they were doing this before Harry Potter, but it's like very Harry Potter of them.
I was like, I'm not going to bring it up, but it really does sound magical.
It's very Harry Potter of them. I don't care what the Brits say.
And that they call programs like schemes.
Yeah, I know.
Like an insurance scheme. And I'm like, a scheme? But it means like just a normal.
I know. It's like, are you being sketchy on purpose? Because you're giving me sketchy vibes.
It has like a negative connotation to me.
Right?
But anyway, sorry.
The Brits.
We love it.
We do. So, 3 phrases for Britain's wartime propaganda department, the Ministry of Information. The plan was for these 3 phrases to be used on posters that would be issued in the event of war. The other 2 phrases, the first is, quote, your courage, your cheerfulness, your resolution will bring us victory. That was one.
Not as catchy.
Not as catchy. And then the second, freedom is in peril. Defend it with all your might. I think that is the second most catchy.
Right. But that doesn't have longevity.
It doesn't.
You can't apply that to other situations, I feel.
Exactly. You really can't. That's like for the war. You know what I mean? I'm going to read another quote from the Guardian article, which is an incredible article, by the way, folks. But anyway, quote, I can pinpoint the precise moment at which I realized that what had seemed a typically somewhat insufferably English phenomenon had gone completely and inescapably global. I was going into the flagship Warsaw branch of the Polish department store Empik, and there, just past the revolving doors, was a collection of notebooks, mousepads, diaries, and the like, featuring a familiar English sans serif font, white on red, topped with the crown, in English, keep calm and carry on. It felt like the confirmation that the image had entered the pantheon of truly global design icons. As a logo, it was nearly as recognizable as Coca-Cola or Apple. How had this happened? What was it that made the image so popular? How did it manage to grow from a minor English middle-class cult object into an international brand, and what exactly was meant by carry on. So, what are the origins of these sayings? What in the heck is the Ministry of Information, and why is the keep calm and carry on phrase so popular today? I'm sure you're asking all of these questions, and I will hopefully answer them all for you. First, we'll start with the Ministry of Information. Sorry, did I say the Ministry of Defense? The Ministry of Information.
No, you said information.
Okay, cool. The Ministry of Information.
Ministry of Defense against the Dark Arts.
Exactly. I'm like very Harry Potter right now. Okay.
But also, Ministry of Information sounds so sketchy.
It does sound sketchy. It really does.
Or like it's like Ministry of Truth. It's like, okay.
Well, yeah, exactly. The Ministry of Information, I'm going to tell you more about it, but it's basically the British propaganda machine. Anyway.
Right.
So, the Ministry of Information was a United Kingdom government department created briefly at the end of the First World War and again during the Second World War. It was located in Senate House at the University of London during the 1940s. And it was the central government department responsible for publicity and propaganda. They dealt with the planning of general governmental or interdepartmental information and provided common services for public relations activities of other governmental departments. There's literally not much out there regarding the Ministry of Information. It's like a very secret thing. But according to the University of London, as of 2014, the Institute of English Studies, a member institute of the University of London School of Advanced Studies, undertook a research project to reveal its secret history. I couldn't find this research project, so I don't know if they're like still putting it together, but the research was supposed to go on for 4 years, so it should have been concluded in 2018. Maybe they're still writing it, or maybe it got kiboshed in some way. But what you need to know is that the Ministry of Information was around for a short period of time. It was a British propaganda machine, and it was formally dissolved in March of 1946. But this brings us to the Ministry of Information's trio of posters previously mentioned. April 6, 1939, the MOI held a new committee called Home Publicity. The committee would meet at lunchtime, and the committee consisted of civil servants, volunteer academics, publicists, and publishers. The members quickly agreed that the MOI should undertake a general campaign to present the, quote, national cause immediately upon the outbreak of war. So they're anticipating war is going to be officially announced in the UK soon. And this committee of people is like, we should run a campaign at home to like help the people be like pro-war effort. There were multiple proposals as to what this campaign should be, but the committee was mostly interested in the proposal for a series of posters that would reassure the public by ensuring the certainty of ultimate victory and emphasizing that the whole community was committed to the war effort. I mean, obviously this is like the 30s and 40s. They didn't have like the internet and shit, but like the campaign that these people are going to run is like posters. You know what I mean? Like, right. Imagine, like, people put up posters all the time here. Like, nobody would give a shit anymore about something like this. So,
yeah,
I commend them for this, but it's just times they haven't changed. Anyway, so the simple ground rules for this campaign effort were as follows. The design had to stand out from posters issued by other departments because this was not the only department issuing posters, okay? It had to have a special and handsome type. Quote, that's actually what it said, special and handsome. And LOL, my typeface episode.
This font or this typeface isn't handsome enough.
Exactly. It's not special enough. So it had to, quote, bear a distinctive uniform device, making it, quote, difficult or impossible for the enemy to print reproductions. Which is hilarious considering what Keep Calm and Carry On has become. Right.
The enemy has gotten their claws
their
into it.
Grimy paws on it, yeah. Additionally, the team was instructed that the campaign needed to attract attention. Duh. It needed to complement preconceived ideas about the conflict. So it needed to put shine a sort of positive light on the conflict. It needed to be universal and balance a, quote, steadying influence with the incitement to spontaneous action. So essentially what they're trying to say is like, these posters needed to suggest to the common people that you might need to pick up arms spontaneously, or you might need to join the war effort in some way spontaneously, and you needed to be ready and willing to do that. And you needed to be like, not excited, but like passionate about defending your country. Like, essentially, they were concerned of like a ground invasion from Germany, you know, and they were worried that like, if we're invaded, like Tommy Sue and Jimmy Jones down the street are going to have to pick up their rifles and help. It's not just going to be the army. Like, the common folk needed to be ready to be involved as well. This is just an aside. One of the first suggested slogans eventually scratched was "England is prepared." That got scratched.
Yeah, that is catchy.
Yeah. But it took many design attempts to land on the posters that we know today. But the result of these posters was a collab between a variety of different civil servants. The words were written by speechwriter A.P. Waterfield, and the graphic design was done by illustrator Ernest Wallcousins. It took many, many drafts. Like, they would send like 20 slogans to the MOI, and the MOI would be like, I hate them all. They would send more, and it would just go back and forth like this. And eventually, they whittled it down to these 3 slogans. According to design expert Stephen Bailey, founder of the London's Design Museum, the designs that they landed on worked, quote, "In an unlikely wartime victory, the Ministry of Information achieved an ironic detachment and stylish stoicism beyond the reach of advertising professionals of the day." Ironic detachment? Stylish stoicism? Sounds very British to me.
Right.
The Keep Calm and Carry On poster was designed in the summer of 1939, and the goal of this poster and the other 2 was to stiffen the resolve of the British people in the event of a Nazi invasion. This is where I think it's so interesting. The Keep Calm and Carry On poster never became an official propaganda poster, however. It was one of the 3 approved slogans. They even printed 2.45 million posters displaying the phrase. But the government ended up pulping all of the paper and recycled it in 1940 to help the British government deal with a serious paper shortage.
Oh.
Right?
Okay.
So the other 2 posters, however, were printed and widely displayed during the Blitz. So remember, this is your courage, your cheerfulness, your resolve will bring us victory, and freedom is in peril. Defend it with all your might. You can actually see one of these posters in the last scene of Michael Powell and Emmerich Pressburger's 1943 film, The Life and Death of Colonel Blimp. If you're a film buff, you might have seen this. So of the 3 posters that got approved, why was Keep Calm and Carry On the phrase that was ditched? According to the Guardian article, quote, "Possibly this was because it was considered less appropriate to the conditions of the Blitz than to the mass panic expected in the event of a German ground invasion." So they're thinking like, maybe the Blitz wasn't as serious as Germany on the ground.
Right.
And I don't know. I feel like none of these posters really would have helped me at all, to be completely
Right.
honest.
I've been like, oh, great.
In the event of a Blitz or an actual ground invasion.
Yeah, it's like, what did that poster say?
Keep calm and what now? What am I supposed to be doing? And like all of that said, the other posters were heavily criticized at the time, and even now people criticize the propaganda effort. For instance, people believe that the tone of the Your Courage poster was patronizing, and it implied distinction between you, the common person, and us, the state that needed to be defending. And then author Anthony Burgess, who wrote A Clockwork Orange, later claimed that the rage at these posters actually helped the Labour Party win an enormous landslide in the 1945 election. So people were like, F the Tories, I guess, is the other party, and we're going to vote Labour in 45. So what about Keep Calm and Carry On? It wasn't ever released, so how did it gain popularity today? This is interesting. So they pulped 2.45 million prints of this poster, but somehow some of these escaped, okay? One of these few posters was found in a used bookstore, Barter Books in Alnwick, Northumberland in 2008. I believe it's 2008. It might have been 2006. I'm sorry if I got the date wrong. They got their hands on this poster by a stroke of luck. The store went to like an auction and they bought a batch of secondhand books at the auction, and the poster was found within that lot of books. Just crazy. And they just found it. Barter Books then created the first ever reproductions, and they sold their reproductions at the Victoria and Albert Museum shop. That was the first place that was ever sold. And from there, it like exploded. It exploded.
But that's crazy that it just showed up at this one shop and then it became so popular. Did they know the background of it when they found it? Were they like, oh, this is a
I couldn't find any information on that, but eventually it was revealed that this was one of the scrapped phrases from this trio of posters, which is super interesting. And I think the history slowly became revealed over time for the reasons I'm about to get into. Okay. So we're going to get into like a redux of history right now, so bear with me. To understand why the slogan took off the way it did, you'll need to understand the political and financial climate of Britain at this time. We're talking 2008, 2009, 2010. And to understand that, we're going to be going all the way back to World War II for a bit. This is an oversimplification, folks. Just stick with me. And I'm not British at all. So, like, this is all just what I've gleaned from the online world of British political and financial climates of these times. So, the Blitz. What do you think about when you think of the Blitz?
People, like, hiding in tunnels.
Right, because the Germans were bombing.
Right.
The UK. It wasn't just London, but, you know, it was all of the UK. So the long and short of it, the Blitz refers to the German bombing campaign against the United Kingdom from 1940 to 1941. A lot comes to mind when we think of the Blitz, and I'm going to read a quote from an article by Shannon Bent. Quote, "The Blitz. I'm sure as you read those words, images spring to mind. Perhaps there are images of damaged buildings, piles of rubble, hundreds of people crammed into a tube station shelter with their battered suitcases and teddy bears, and perhaps images of patriotism too. People's keep calm and carry on spirit. The London can take it vibe. The shop windows that read bombed but not defeated. This type of patriotism and morale has been coined the Blitz spirit and has become a popular phrase in film and articles." So just so that for context, if you're not aware, like, it wasn't like the Blitz was like bombings here and there, like occasionally. From the 7th of September, 1940, London was systematically bombed for 56 of the following 57 days and nights. Every single day they were bombed.
That's crazy.
That's crazy. The Blitz spirit that was mentioned in that quote by Shannon Bent is a concept of national heroism that Britain has clung to in the many years following World War II. I think it makes sense. Like, if your country is being bombed to shit every single day for over 50 days straight, the nation needs to have some sort of something to hold on to, right? Some sort of resolve to hold on to. They call this the Blitz spirit in the UK, and it's used in the political sphere. It's used in the financial sphere. It's used in films, everywhere. You'll read it in articles all the time. It's not just used to refer to the Blitz spirit from World War II, but the Blitz spirit is like a spirit of resolve in British people. At least that's what these sources are saying. Okay, let's see. In a book by Paul Gilroy called After Empire, the Blitz and the victory were frequently invoked or made necessary by, quote, the need to get back to the place or moment before the country lost its moral and cultural bearings. The years 1940 and 1945 were anxious and melancholic. They clung to these years as a means of not thinking about other aspects of recent British history, most notably its empire. So, like, this idea of British resolve is a way for them to be like, we've just been through it, and we also don't want to think about all the shitty things that we've ever done to the world. For instance, like conquering most of the world, right?
Right.
So, according to the Guardian article, the Blitz spirit has been exploited by politicians since 1979, when Thatcherites and Blairites spoke of hard choices and muddling through. They often invoked the memories of 1941. It served to legitimate regimes that constantly argued that, despite appearances to the contrary, resources were scarce and there wasn't enough money to go around. The most persuasive way of explaining why someone else was inevitably going to suffer. The article continues. Ironically, however, this rhetoric of sacrifice was often combined with a demand that consumers enrich themselves, buy their house, get a new car, make something of themselves, aspire. End quote. So, they used this concept of the Blitz spirit to be like, pull yourself up by your bootstraps. Times are hard, but you need to keep working. You need to keep buying. You need to be like a valuable member of society. We have similar vibes in the US. It's a little bit different, but it's very much something I think that we can relate to as well. Like when times are really, really hard, they're like, pull yourself up by your bootstraps. Just keep working hard and you'll be able to make it through. And it's like, well, actually, there are things in place that are making it literally impossible for me to buy a house or buy my groceries, pay my rent, do all these things. You can't just tell me to keep working. That's not the solve here. Anyway, so the Keep Calm and Carry On poster rose to popularity during the financial crisis of 2008 in England and beyond. The poster was a way to display a commitment to the austerity regime, which is what this Guardian article is calling it, like to be austere and stoic and just kind of have a stiff upper lip and like just put your head down and make it work. Like no complaining, like this is the way life is, like we just have to, which feels very British, right? So it's a commitment to buy more consumer goods while also just keeping on in face of incredible financial difficulty. I'm going to end with one last quote from Owen Hatherley's Guardian article. The power of keep calm and carry on comes from a yearning for an actual or imaginary English patrician attitude of stiff upper lips and muddling through. This is, however, something that largely survives only in the popular imagination, in a country devoted to services and consumption, where elections are decided on the basis of house price value and given to sudden, mawkish outpourings of sentiment. The poster isn't just a case of the return of the repressed, it is rather the return of repression itself. It is a nostalgia for the state of being repressed, solid, stoic, public-spirited, as opposed to the depoliticized, hysterical, and privatized reality of Britain over the last 30 years. Of course, in the end, it is a bit of a joke. You don't really think your pay cut or your children's inability to buy a house or the fact that someone somewhere else has been made homeless because of the bedroom tax or lost their benefits or worked on a 0 hours contract is really comparable to life during the Blitz. But it's all a bit of fun, isn't it? End quote. So keep calm and carry on.
Well,
it's so interesting to me because I was obsessed with this phrase, in middle school, right? I went through like my whole like England phase, as many
as one does,
as many people have. But through researching this, I didn't realize how right wing the phrase is. Like a lot of like right-leaning celebrities, politicians really gravitated towards this like phrase and used it to kind of popularize their ideas during the financial crisis of 2008 and beyond. I had no idea that it was kind of like this, but I just thought it was
keep calm and carry on. We're not going to try and fix anything. Just you can handle it. Like
suck it up. It's good.
That Blitz spirit.
Exactly. Just having that context, and there's obviously much more that goes into that kind of vibe in England. If you're interested, check out that Guardian article. It's so good. I was like, maybe I'll just read the article.
Right. A reading from the Guardian.
But I've even read like on CNN and other like American publications, they talked about like the Blitz spirit. They talked about how this phrase was used by the right wing during the financial crisis to kind of like promote the stiff upper lip, like just keep on and keep calm and carry on. It'll be fine. And it's like, well, what about you guys? Like, can you do something about what's going on here?
No. We couldn't possibly.
No. But keep buying it on your mouse pad and your phone cases and your champagne flutes, I mean, it is a pretty handsome type, I will say.
Yeah. I mean,
it's well designed.
I feel like any propaganda ministry all over the world, like that is the best thing that could happen to you in your career. Except for the fact that like it wasn't actually, released by them, but the idea that you design something that's so universally appealing and iconic that it's like has transcended your propaganda, your country, and like it's, cemented itself.
Right. It was compared to like the Rosie the Riveter or the Uncle Sam poster,
right. Yeah.
Damn. Anyway, that's
Crazy.
Keep Calm and Carry On. I think I have I think I might have a magnet Keep Calm and Carry On my fridge. Hilarious.
Amazing. I just remember, that was huge on Tumblr.
Oh yeah.
And like replacing the Carry On with, something else.
Right, exactly. It was like the quotes I read said, it's very memeable. Very memeable.
Well,
Shall we keep calm and carry on?
We should keep curious and carry on.
Oh.
That's our tagline. We'll get to that in a second after I tell you that if you want to talk to us, you can find us on Twitter at The Good Eve Girls.
Or Instagram at The Good Evening Girls.
Or TikTok at The Good Eve Girls.
And as always, please keep curious and carry on, folks. We will catch you here, same time, same place, hopefully next week. Don't hold us to it.
You never know.
You never know what you're going to get with us. But we'll see you next time, folks. Bye.
Bye.